Hello, everybody. I am a practicing therapist and I'm also a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I want to talk about signs that somebody is lying to you, particularly if a woman is lying to you. But the truth of the matter is, this can be either one. This can be a romantic partner, this could be a man, it could be a woman, it could be a friend of yours, regardless of gender, regardless of relationship. This is something that can help people who can distinguish between someone who is lying and maybe somebody who is not. And I think it's also important to keep in mind that if somebody only has like maybe one or two of these points, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are lying. It could mean that they're conflict avoidant, maybe they're uncomfortable with something. The point of this video to have a whole picture of somebody, to realize what kind of character somebody is, of someone who has a potential to lie or someone who is lying. So I think it would be like if they have a majority of these traits. And the first one is that her stories are actually very detailed and they keep changing over time. Now, the combination of both is kind of what I'm tackling at this moment, because some people tell very detailed stories and sometimes people forget things, and so the story can kind of change a little bit over time, not too much. But if you see both happening, this is what I think is very interesting, because somebody who tells a very detailed story, they don't normally forget, because that's why they're so detailed. But if someone says something very brief and the story maybe changes a little bit over time, they could have forgotten. But the combination of the two shows her attention to details, because she's trying to sell it as the truth, and it changes over time because it's not the truth. And she might forget her original story because it didn't really happen. So that's the first one, detailed, and her story changes over time. Okay. A lot of people who come from maybe broken homes, trauma, and people who come from situations like this, they may be familiar with lying, but they actually think it's the truth. I'm going to give an example, but it is not a judgment on single mothers or single fathers or single parents. But let's just say, for example, we have a son and he has a mother and he doesn't really know his father, or maybe she keeps him away from his father. And so she is a single mother. Okay. So she might be telling only her side of the story of what happened in the marriage, and he blindly believes her. And so the difficult and tricky part about this situation is, and this can happen with daughters too, by the way, I see it with both. He believes that the mother is always telling the truth. Father is bad, the male figure is bad, he is dishonest, or he's not that good, or he left the family, whatever it is, and then she's telling the full truth. And so what happens is he kind of believes subconsciously that women don't really lie, and he might be even more attracted to maybe a little bit more of the hyper independent woman, or a woman that, she does things by her. There's nothing wrong with that, but he's not seeing the dynamics of a couple where, sometimes the wife is being really annoying to her husband. Maybe she has to apologize because she did something wrong, rightfully so. He has to apologize sometimes as a husband. And you see the dynamics, the back and forth between two people who are not perfect, who are trying to make a marriage work. You'll see that maybe, as a mother, as a wife, she doesn't have time to go out all the time because she has a family. And he will know that because he grew up with both parents. The next one is, when you ask a specific question, and typically it's going to be like a yes or no, or very specific, not very difficult to answer, what she does is she flips the conversation instead of answering your specific question. She might even indirectly answer, but she's skating away from having to answer it. Now, some people do not consider this a lie, but I will say that this is obviously an avoidance of the truth. And so that's kind of where I wanted to touch on as well, because there's probably a reason she's avoiding the truth. Now, of course, there's plenty of caveats in any situation. She might be embarrassed. She might be uncomfortable. Maybe she doesn't trust you yet. And maybe she's not really hiding anything. However, still, there is a lack of wanting to tell the truth to you. And I think that still says a lot about her character and who she is as a person. If you guys are looking for more videos from me and more posts about me and my life and other members of our group, that is pinned in the comments. It's a $10 group. It's just for anyone who wants to join. There are exclusive videos, but there are lots of other things that we do as well. And if you're interested in that, please feel free to join. We would love to have you. Now, the third one, I think, is where most people get a little bit. I think a lot of people get stuck on this one, okay? She tells the partial truth, not the whole truth. Okay, so this one is, I feel like, a really common example, but it is the first one I thought about. She might say, I was out with a friend last night. And maybe he is a friend for now, but she knows saying friend is like less suspicious. But it's like, it's a male. right? It's a male that maybe there is something going on or something like that. And it is last night, so it's like later in the day. It doesn't sound like a very good situation. If you're in a relationship with her, that's probably something that you would want more information about if you found out it was a male friend, I would think, right? I'm not a man, so I can't speak for you guys, but it's probably not the best situation, and she's not giving you the whole truth because she knows that maybe something else is, she's maybe broken a contract between you two as a relationship or a marriage or whatever it is. She could break your trust, and so she's lying or hiding something. So instead of saying she was with a guy, she just maybe says a friend. And the interesting part is, and I think people know this, if it was a specific friend and you guys are together for a long time, usually she says the name of her friend. And so if she omits the name, that is something, it's not always the case, but it is something maybe to keep in mind. Because let's say her friend is Madison, right? I was with Madison last night. Okay, that makes sense. I was with a friend. It kind of is like, okay, who is this friend? Usually people give more details, especially women. It might be, oh, this is Madison's neighbor. I just met her. I was hanging out with her. Okay, that's clearly this is a girl, right? Female. I was with a friend. It's very blank. And a lot of women like to kind of, not all of them, but a lot of them do like to talk about like certain details. So her being very brief about this, kind of interesting. Maybe it's something to keep in mind. The next one is she constantly accuses you of lying. People do this even with cheating. A lot of people who like constantly accuse somebody of cheating, it is because they know maybe they are cheating, or they kind of think about it often and they know how easy it is or how they can get away with it. And so cheating is kind of on their mind. And so they're kind of accusing you of lying because they're constantly lying or thinking about lying to you. And they kind of feel like everybody is like them. A good example of this is folks who are very I like people like this, by the way, very kind, very gentle-hearted. Some people might call them naive, very genuine. Often they are, unfortunately, targets of people with personality disorders or manipulative individuals. And part of the reason why is because a lot of these individuals don't suspect that this person could be manipulating them, could be hurting them, could be lying to them because they don't do that. And so they're kind of blind to the idea of manipulation and abuse because they could never imagine doing those things. So you're kind of just, you think like everyone's like you, for example. Similar, if somebody's always lying, they kind of think everybody is like them. So they accuse you of lying because they lie a lot and lying is on their mind a lot. The next one is that her words and actions in general do not match. It can be as simple as saying she's like a morning person, but she routinely wakes up at noon. This is just, it's strange because it almost makes you think, who is she really? Is she painting a picture that she's not? And I want to stop on this one. I don't want to make this video too long because I do have a lot to do today, but I feel like this is really important. I might forget, so I want to say it. A lot of women sell you an image of who they're not in the beginning of the relationship to kind of, this sounds weird, to like get you to like commit to her, whatever it is, okay? And so she might be more relaxed than she really is. She might try and pretend she's very traditional when in actuality, maybe her two relationships in the past, they overlapped. And so, there was a time where she was in a relationship and she was meeting another guy and then she kind of like monkey branched to the other guy, right? She's acting like she's traditional, but maybe she's had a baby out of wedlock. Some examples. And so these types of people, she's not going to show that side. She's trying to get you to marry her, get you to commit to her, or whatever she's trying to get out of you, okay? And so she's not going to show her true self. She's going to show a different picture. She could be very loud about this. Typically, people who are more traditional, sometimes you can just tell how they are, maybe how they talk, how their lifestyle is. And so if she's broadcasting these things that, they sound good to you, maybe just keep that in mind. She might be just trying to sell you something. And that's kind of what I mean by her actions and words don't really match in general. That's why I give the example of like a morning person, because there's nothing wrong with being like, why would you lie about something so like harmless, basically? Partly because she's probably just trying to sell you a type of person that she's not. And that would probably mean that she's lying more than just this. Like, this is just one example. Maybe her whole lifestyle that she tells you is kind of a lie. And the last one is she avoids direct answers. Overall, she doesn't answer anything directly. It's very indirect. Obviously, this is going to be in a interpersonal connection, right? A lot of people who are in like a professional standard, they avoid direct answers because it's unethical or they don't want to get things too personal. If it's a work relationship, that might not fit at all because people sometimes they don't give direct answers to keep that boundary. But if you guys are close, if you guys are friends, if she's your girlfriend, this is obviously strange. So I hope this video was helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.